Peace, family. Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter. And I am coming to you live to talk about the full moon in tropical Libra, sidereal Pisces, sidereal Virgo, lunar eclipse. We are starting off this eclipse season strong and very, very powerful. And the first card that I draw is the Six of Pentacles, because I do feel like there's going to be a lot of healing that happens right now. We have been going through the healing journey, the transmutational process. And I think that that's really important to say, because sometimes we expect that, like, you know, it's all going to happen at once and it's all going to be so fast and it's all going to be so easy. But let me just make one thing very clear, is that we had to like root out all of the negativity, all of the toxic energy, all of the low vibrational shadow aspects of ourselves, because do remember that, like, that's all reflected in our relationships around us. That's all our relationships are. Our relationships are meant to reflect back to us parts of ourselves. And it doesn't mean that that person over there, and when we're dealing with Libra, which is where the full moon is, in the 7th house, when we have the exact full moon at 7, is it 7 Greenwich Mean Time? Yeah, so it was 2 a.m. It was 2 a.m. Eastern time. But when we have this full moon, we have to remember that Libra is essentially a mirror. It is about the relationships that mirror back to us who we are. We get the Tower in the reverse. And this is what I'm saying about this healing journey. If you look at this card, this person looks very much like they're in a peaceful state. They're in a peaceful energy. They are, you know, they're carrying the abundance of their experience with them. And don't show that again. They're carrying the abundance of their experience with them. We have collectively been through an extremely difficult time period. We've been through an extremely difficult journey of transmutation and spiritual alchemy, essentially. And when we talk about alchemy, you have to understand that it is taking a base material and making it into something that is precious. So when we take iron and turn it into gold, we are getting down to the essence of what the iron is, and we are only keeping the elements that will allow it to become gold. Think about yourself in that regard. Okay, you might have a lot of really dense alloys and metals in your waters, in your story, in who you are. That's what we're talking about, is shadow, essentially. So you may have had a lot of traumatic experiences. You may have been a really not very nice person. You know, you may have caused a lot of harm to other people. And that's okay. That's okay, because we're all human. And that's kind of what we do as humans. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to pause and I'm going to take a deep breath. It does feel like the lunar energy is going to be a little bit harder to catch on to, especially because we have Mercury retrograde coming up next week. So you might be having a hard time putting together what you want to say and connecting it from your head to your throat chakra to express it, because we are in the Mercury retrograde shadow period. And when that happens, I really want to encourage you to not be afraid to just take a deep breath and ground yourself. I have found that, honestly, I think one of the things that has really made people respect me more, especially in the realm of business, is just pausing and saying, let me consider my answer. I really want to give you the most authentic, genuine answer. Let me just think about that for a moment. And I pause and I take a deep breath and I find the answer inside of me. Instead of pulling it from my ego, I pull it from my truth. You know what I mean? And then I express it. And I really believe that people find this, it is a sign of emotional and spiritual maturation. And it really will shock people when they encounter somebody doing that because they're not used to it. Especially if you're in, we also have to remember, like I said, Libra, the moon is in tropical Libra, and it's also in the 7th house. Libra rules the 7th house, by the way. We have to remember that that has to do with business partnerships as well as romantic partnerships. It doesn't really have to do with friends as much because friends are more so the realm of the 11th house as well as Aquarius, your social connections. It has to do more so with these interpersonal relationships where you have a counterpart that is reflecting a part of you back to you. So because it has to do with business and business partnerships, I do want to say, especially with Mercury retrograde coming up, you're really going to want to stop and pause. You're really going to want to be in your agency and have a clear mind when you're making decisions, because I do feel that, you know, I'm not saying that this is necessarily going to happen, but there has been a trickster energy that has been very present lately in the collective. The past year, there has been very powerful trickster energy. And it means that we live in capitalism, okay? People are going to try to get one over on you. People are going to try to exploit you. Hi, Zyla, good to see you. People are going to try to exploit you. And that has nothing to do with you. That has to do with them. And to a larger degree, that's more so about the system that we've all been indoctrinated into. And so that's why I said at the beginning of this reading is like, you know, we've all been a not great person in our past. We all have shadow aspects and attributes. We've all gone through something that has caused us to have a warping and a fragmentation of our spirit. And the work that we are to do is to heal that, to reintegrate, to come back to self and operate from our fullness and our wholeness. But we can't do that if we're not willing to walk through the dark night of the soul, if we're not willing to do the shadow work, which is, it's really hard. We're not willing to walk through the fire of the transmutational journey and be alchemized so that we can come out on the other side as a better version of ourselves, then you're simply going to continue hurting others, which is going to inevitably hurt you as well. So we've already been through this transmutational journey. And I just want to say to anybody listening, anybody watching this, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you because the things that you have survived in the past year, it's not a joke. It's not easy. And I really can't what do people say? I can't overstate what a great job you've done just by surviving the night, the long, dark night of the soul. You know, if nobody has told you how proud they are of the work that you've done on yourself, I'm telling you now, I am proud of you. Your spirit team is proud of you. Okay, and then we get the Tower in reverse, because for the people that I read for in my collective, you're not gonna be experiencing any more Tower moments. Judgment has been called, and judgment being called is bringing down the people who are perpetuating harm, who are causing trauma, who are proliferating sickness. That's what judgment being called is about. So let's talk a little bit about what a lunar eclipse even is. Right now, it's the full moon. It is in tropical Libra, but it's in sidereal Virgo. Okay, and 6 of Pentacles is related to Virgo. It's also, its pentacles are earth. So it has to do with the material realm. But Virgo has to do also, it's ruled by Mercury, and it has to do with healing. When I read a sidereal chart, I'm thinking about the inner life of a person. So whereas the tropical chart, the chart that most people in the Western world are more familiar with, I'm thinking about how we engage with society, the mask that we wear, how we've been socialized to think and to act. But I see the sidereal chart as the inner truth. It's kind of like the tropical is the sun and the sidereal is the moon. So we have the moon in tropical Libra, and that might make us think, oh, it's really about all of our relationships, when in reality, no. When it's in sidereal Virgo, it's about our relationships, but what they are reflecting back to us. Thank you so much. Thank you for the heart puffs. It's about what is being reflected back to us, what we are able to gain from understanding what we have to sacrifice, what we have to lose, what we have to let go of, because that is an integral part of healing. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if you have a tumor. I don't know much about tumors. I'm going to be honest. I know a lot about other things, but tumors not so much. But you got to take a tumor out. Otherwise, it's going to continue to metastasize the rest and poison the rest of your body. So you can't heal your body until you remove the tumor. You know what I mean? Like, so we have to remove the tumor. And the unfortunate reality is a lot of us have become attached to our spiritual tumors. A lot of us have become attached to our maladaptive coping mechanisms. A lot of us have become attached to these low vibrational behaviors and patterns and ways of thinking and doing things. And a lot of us are addicted to chaos, unfortunately. So this has to do with the Devil card in tarot. We spoke about that when we did the vernal equinox reading, but it has to do also with Saturn. And so we have Saturn in Pisces in the tropical chart. We also have Mars, Venus, and Neptune there. So there is a 4-planet stellium in the sign of Pisces in the 12th house. This is really about facing our fears in order to attract the life of our dreams. And we have to, as I said, we have to be willing to let go of the things that no longer serve us. And I do believe that with Mars at 1 degree of Pisces in the 12th house, we are actually doing that now. Like, we are actually putting into action these ways of being that we have been called to embody. And like I said, I'm going to keep saying this because I feel like people really need to hear it. I'm really proud of all of you. All of you in the collective, I'm so proud of, because the work is not easy, but it is necessary. The unfortunate thing is a lot of people don't ever do the work because they're too afraid to face themselves. I'm just looking up the Sabian symbol for 1 degree Pisces because I want to read that out to you all. Phase 331, Pisces 1 degree. In a crowded marketplace, farmers and middlemen display a great variety of products. This dog just farted and it is bad. Keynote, the process of commingling and interchange, which at all levels demonstrates the health of a community. And so I do feel with this Libra full moon lunar eclipse in the 7th house as the opening to the eclipse season. Remember that eclipses wake up the most primal parts of us, okay? During eclipses, animals lose their stuff. And that might be why this dog has been so incredibly needy lately, because it maybe has been sensing the eclipse coming. It is a complete shakeup, and it is a very powerful portal that takes us from one world to the next. And unfortunately, a lot of people think like, oh my goodness, I'm going to wake up in a whole new place. You're going to wake up in a whole new energy. You're not necessarily going to wake up in a whole new place. You might, but for most of us, we're going to wake up in a new energy, in a new place in terms of the higher dimensions, the unseen realms. And we have to understand that, because with Mars at 1 degree in Pisces in the 12th house, I implore you not to relapse on those old patterns and behaviors that have kept you trapped. With the 4 of Pentacles in reverse, I see this and I think about I think about generational curses that we, thank you, Xylo. I think about generational curses that we have to break. And it's not easy. It's literally coded into our DNA to do these things and to behave these ways. But you know better because I speak to a chosen one collective, you know, and the unfortunate thing is that though we are the chosen ones, oftentimes, always actually, we have the hardest interpersonal interactions. This particular moon is not necessarily directly about family and your ancestors and your lineage. It's more so about what those relationships have how those relationships have programmed you to show up in your relationships with others. In the same house and the same sign as the full moon, we also have Fortuna, we have the South Node, as well as Vertex. So there's also a major 4 placement stellium going on here. So you're going to be experiencing a lot of Piscean energy, and you're going to be experiencing a lot of Libran energy. With Libra, I really feel like this is asking us to not self-abandon and not prioritize other people's feelings before our own, simply because we are afraid. People pleasing it's because of fear that we people please. It's not because we want to. Okay, and I'm also going to say that as far as Virgo is concerned, let go of the control, like the obsession with control. Controlling outcomes. How's everything going to turn out? Like, I need to know. You already know it's going to turn out fine. When you act in your integrity and you do what you're supposed to do and what you're called to do and what you're asked to do, when you are in your principles, everything always turns out fine. And that's why we get the Tower in reverse, because you're not, confirmation verb, you're not going to experience any towers when you're in your integrity, because that is the solid rock foundation that your sovereign domain is built upon. And that's all that you can control. If you're not in relation to people who have no integrity, people of weak will, then you're not going to be, your integrity, your foundation is not going to be compromised by them and their inability to stand 10 toes down. But if you are, there's no way that you're going to make it out of this eclipse season with those relationships still intact, because you're being protected heavily by your angels, ancestors, and guides. And that's really what they want to come through and express. So because tropically the sun is just entering into Aries, when we have a full moon, we are illuminated by the light of the sun. So this illumination sheds light on our inner realm and our emotional state. All of the things that have not been communicated or processed in the emotional body, in our inner realm. My body is really heating up, so I feel like the 𝗧𝗵𝗿𝗲 energy is really present here. Yeah, and there's just this energy of destruction in order to reclaim our ability to manifest in earnest. I feel like this heat is like, it's like dragon fire. It's burning through all of these false connections, these false twin flames, false divine counterparts, you know, karmic contracts, all of this stuff. It's just sweeping it all away. Libra is a sign of liberation. And so we're experiencing liberation and we're experiencing healing here. But where the sun is in Pisces sidereally, and so there's going to be a lot of Pisces energy here because the sun only just entered into Aries tropically. So it's not Aries sun energy that is illuminating this Libra full moon in terms of the tropical chart. It's actually everything from the last full moon, which has all of that happened in Pisces season. So this is processing all of the information that we downloaded, that we received, that we generated in Pisces season. It has to do with our fears. And actually, what I really feel like is like in Pisces season, we had to walk through some of the most fearful experiences for ourselves. And Spirit's like, okay, did you stand 10 toes down or did you fold under the pressure of fear in the material matrix, which is not real? It's not real. I have to say, if you stood 10 toes down, which I bet you did, then you're going to be receiving everything that you have ever really wanted. Because honestly, in order to receive more, you have to be in resonance to receive it. You know, if you're asking for more money, more power, more success, if you do not have the proper vessel to contain those things, you're not going to receive it, period. Just as they say God doesn't give you more than you can handle in terms of bad things, that's true in terms of good things too. You know what I mean? Like I actually feel like I really want to talk about this. So trigger warning, I watched Quiet on Set last night, the HBO Max thing about docu-series about Nickelodeon. And when I was a kid, I was a really good actor, actually. I was a really good performer, and I acted in school plays. I acted in my church plays and all these kinds of things. And one day my mom took my sister and I to audition for like kids acting stuff in town, I think like near our local mall. And even though I was really good at acting, and I am a sun Sagittarius in tropical astrology, my rising sign in sidereal is also Sag, but I just choked. I choked when I got up there to do my thing. I got too shy and I like hid. And I could tell that my mom was like really mad after, because I think that we had asked her to take us, and also she probably knew that I could do better than that. But I say this to say, like, when I would watch TV, I knew that I could do the things that we get the Queen of Pentacles, of course. I knew that I could do that, and I knew that I was born to do that, and I knew that I was meant to like be on the screen and be on the stage and perform. And through my life, no matter how much I've tried to dim my light, no matter how much I've tried to run from it, no matter how much I've tried to live a normal life, it has always come back to me that this is what I was born to do. In readings, but also just in my life, I have it reflected back to me. And please stay with me, because this really, it comes back to what I was saying, what I'm seeing in the chart. I never was a kid, like when I was a very young kid, I did watch Nickelodeon shows, all that, like all of those Ren and Stimpy, all of those shows, like 90s Nickelodeon. But when it got to be the 2000s, around the time of like Jamie Lynn Spears show, and like the second generation of all that and that stuff, I stopped really being interested in that. And I also really stopped liking Disney Channel. Like I was really not into it. I genuinely did not like it. And I wondered what was wrong with me, that everyone around me loved it, but I really did not like it. And from watching Quiet on Set, for years, I didn't really understand why. And with everything that had come up about Dan Schneider, like I didn't really pay attention to that, because I never watched most of those shows. I never watched Justice or Victorious, sorry. Like I never watched any of those shows, so it didn't really matter to me. But watching that documentary affirmed something for me. Folks know that I am in recovery from substance use disorder. I've been sober for almost 4 years. I haven't drank in 5 years. And when I was like partying, I came of age in New York City. I threw parties, like I was in all the hottest clubs with like celebrities and stuff, and dating people who were very popular in these things. And I knew, like, Spirit told me, like, you're only getting little blips of success. And my ancestors told me this, like, you're getting blips of success. You're getting a little taste of what you want, but you're not going to get all of it because it will kill you. You can't handle having everything that you're capable of right now. And I had visions of it when I was like 19 years old in my first apartment, because I was really spiraling at that time. I had visions of myself like using too much Coca-Cola and like ending up like in a morgue, essentially. You know what I mean? Like I had visions of like just being exploited, and we were all already being exploited. You know what I mean? Like me and all of my friends were already being exploited. So to get to the level that I know that I'm capable of getting to, and I know I am destined for, I couldn't have that because I would not be able to fulfill my mission if I had it at that time, because I could not handle success. And also my ancestors were protecting me from being defiled and abused. Okay, like you see it in the documentary, the kids talk about that. They talk about like not being able to continue in the industry. And a lot of them said like, I would never have my kid in the industry. You know what I mean? Like all of these safeguards that they have, none of that mattered. Some of the people that defended one of the abusers in the show, like I genuinely, like my jaw dropped when I saw who some of these people were. And that's Hollywood for you. But that's also high finance. That's also politics. That's all industries. Okay, so why am I saying all of this? And it comes down to this Queen of Pentacles energy. I was dispossessed. I was operating from my trauma, of which there was a lot. I was operating from a broken heart. I was operating from sickness, and people definitely did blame me and shame me and castigate me. And guess what? I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. I would not change who I am, what I did for anything, because it's what made me who I am today, and I'm damn proud of who I am. I'm so proud of who I am because I survived all of that and I came out on top. Queen of Pentacles energy. I no longer am somebody who people pleases. I'm no longer somebody who allows people to exploit me, to take advantage of me. I speak up for myself. I hold my own. And if something is not in alignment, if it doesn't sit well with me, if my intuition is the only evidence that I have that something is not right, I honor that today. And I would not have been able to receive my blessings if I, in full, in earnest, if I did not honor that today, if I didn't learn those lessons. And so much of it came from the ass kicking, the absolute ass kicking of the past year. For some of us, like, the spiritual warfare that we've gone through the past year is just like, it's incredible. I can't believe some of the things that I have gone through. Like, if I didn't fully believe in magic before, which I did, I grew up in a culture where that's just normal for us. Like, the things that I experienced and the things that I saw, and other people also saw it happening too. Other people were experiencing it at the very same time as me. There's no doubt in my mind. And I made it through that. And I'm much better, much stronger, much more in my power and sovereignty than ever before. And this is what I'm hearing: coronation. It has all been in service of this. So trust and believe that, you know, if the last eclipse season, so 2 eclipse seasons ago, this time last year, like, I used to say that the gates of hell were opening when we have eclipse season and they close at the end of eclipse season. But that was never more true than last year's first eclipse season, because there are two eclipse seasons every year. I've never experienced anything like that, and I never want to again. But that's not what's going to happen this time, because we are on the flip side. If you have done the work, if you have shown up for your lessons, you are now receiving those blessings. And this is why I say, like, you know, I know what I went through, and I know that a lot of other people went through things to the same degree, you know, things potentially to to a lesser degree or a different degree, whatever. But I know what I went through, and so that's why I have to say I'm so proud of every single person who persevered through the long, dark night of the soul last year. And the vernal equinox just happened, so it's only a new year as of the 20th of this month. And so, yeah, we've proven that we can actually maintain. We don't just generate and cultivate, because that is the weakest form of manifestation, is generating and cultivating. That's being in the masculine too much, and you will burn out that way. We also maintain and sustain, which is the feminine aspect. That's the nurturing aspect. Okay, and I'm not talking about Western gender roles. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about energy. There's negative polarity, feminine energy, positive polarity, masculine energy, and then there's neutral. And a lot of us, especially I do feel like a lot of people who are attracted to my content are light workers. If your soul originated in Mintaka, which I believe is in Orion, you probably identify as non-binary, you probably identify as neutral, because we came here to balance the scales. This collective, this planet is far too polarized, and we came here to balance the scales and teach people how to be in a balanced energetic state within themselves. Okay, justice has been called with this full moon. It's after this eclipse season, nothing will ever be the same again. Thank you for my hearts. Thank you. Nothing will ever be the same after this eclipse season. It's the end. It's the end for all of the charlatans, the Pharisees, the absolute monsters. Okay, so just be patient and hold on, because it's coming. Your blessings are coming, and I can tell. I know for myself, I've just been feeling hella anxious, and that has to do with the Aries energy for sure. Aries energy is impatient. It's very much let's go. What's going on? Where's what I demanded? We're not doing that, because we're not in balance when we do that. We are imbalanced when we do that. Everything will come to you in your correct time. So with this Libra full moon, we also get 5 of Wands in reverse. Don't fight. We cease fighting any and everything. Any and everyone, including ourselves, including our quote unquote demons. We master them. We learn to live with them. Okay. If all of our relationships outside of ourselves are a reflection of our relationship to ourselves, then it stands to reason that we have to stop that. Everything around us is a reflection of, those things that we want to fight, that impatience that we're experiencing, that agita is the word that's coming up for me, is because we're dissatisfied with ourselves. And when we're dissatisfied with ourselves, that is an invitation for us to get right within and to get right with our higher power. Because a lot of the time, that dissatisfaction is because we feel like we're not being provided for properly. And so a lot of us have a core wound in terms of our relationship to our creator, to our higher power, whatever that is for you. If you don't have a higher power that is unconditionally loving and unconditionally honest, I really suggest that you find a new higher power that is those things. And then you won't have to live a life of chaos and destruction and, conflict. And the thing of it is, chaos and destruction are parts of life. They are natural parts of existence. And that's not something to shame. But if that's all there is, that is a problem. Because what is it in service of? Chaos and destruction are in service of the cultivation of serenity and peace and life itself. We don't serve death. We serve life. Okay, and I don't mean that death is bad, because it's not. We get the Empress. Yo, this is such an auspicious reading. Dude, the Tower in reverse, Queen of Pentacles, Five of Wands in reverse, the Empress. You're in your, like, you really just have to trust that it's all happening. It's all happening. And I mean an unsacred death. I mean decay. I mean rot. I mean demoralization. By no means
Level 1 unlocked.
am I talking about, like, you know, passing away and transformation and transmutation, because that's sacred death.
Level 1 locked.
I'm talking solely about the unsacred death that is denigration, demoralization, desecration. We have the Page of Wands in the reverse. And I really want to encourage, once again, that with the Five of Wands in reverse and the Page of Wands, you know, I do feel, especially because Mercury retrograde is coming up next week, I do feel like people are going to be trying it. They're going to be trying it. They're going to be trying to manipulate. They're going to try to get you to capitulate. They're going to try to one-up you, overpower you, dominate you. No, I already told you what it is. You are self-sovereign. I said coronation. You're being crowned in your glory, finally, in all of your divine sacred power. And yes, you have that. If you know that you're a starseed, that is what you came here to do, is to lead a nation, your collective. No matter how big, no matter how small. You don't know whose life you are touching when you go out and you live in your authentic truth. And I say this all the time. You don't need to be on the world stage to be a starseed, light worker, changing the world. You can work at 7-Eleven. But when you bring that light to that 7-Eleven, how many hundreds of people's lives do you light up on a daily basis? You can be a camp counselor. How many lives do you save in that space? How many foundations of light, truth, and love do you create in that space? We have to start thinking about those kinds of things. It's not always about this huge collective. Usually it's really more so. That is oftentimes a way to deflect from having true accountability to our actions in real time. Who are you when you are in relationship to the people around you? Who are you when you are in union with the people around you? Are you a poisonous succubus, or are you a bringer of life? And a bringer of life does not mean that it's all love and light and roses. No, I'm a bringer of life. And I am a destroyer. I destroy illusions. I destroy curses. Okay, I do exorcisms. I cast out demons. So, of course, I've been the black sheep my whole life. Of course, I've been bullied. Of course, I've had to fight. Of course, the false matrix tries to push me out and push me down and subjugate me. And anybody who's operating from those frameworks and those paradigms does not want to see me win. And they will actively try to sabotage me. Boo. You cannot sabotage God's anointed. I said I'm the cosmic queen, Vie Darling. What did you think that I meant? You thought this was a game? No, it's not a game. So stop allowing your adversaries to have so much power over you. Thank you for the hand heart. Yes. Stop allowing your adversaries to have so much power over you. They do not get to dictate who you are. You don't even get to dictate who you are. That is in your soul, in your spirit, in your essence. And if you really were in alignment, you wouldn't want to dictate who you are. We want to be our most authentic, true self when we're really in alignment. I found since I started unmasking, thank you for the roses, that
Level 1 unlocked.
I no longer allow,
Level 1 locked.
Sorry, I'm still getting used to this system. I have found since I started my unmasking journey and process, I don't know how to pause this, but I'm going to have to pause this for a real quick second. Okay, I'm back. I don't, since I started the journey and process of unmasking, I have found that like the way that I speak is more, I hate to say it this way, but this is what's coming up, prim and proper. It's definitely more, I don't know how to say it in a, like, I guess the Queen's English. And I was a big reader as a kid. I'm a writer. And also the way that I was raised, like if we said could've or would've, like my mom and her sisters would be like, that's not a word, could have, would have. And that's just how I grew up. But it wasn't seen as cool, and it definitely alienated me and was a part of why people ostracized me. As I've grown up, I've realized that people were jealous because they perceived of it as me being smarter than them, and they felt intimidated by that, even though I never said anything along those lines. And so that was one of the ways in which I was alienated, and I definitely leaned more into speaking more colloquially in order to be accepted by a broader audience, especially when I started partying. I mean, partying in and of itself was a way for me to, to mask. I really didn't trust a lot of people, but I was able to get along with more people and just, bypass my intuition when I was partying and like using substances. And that, throat chakra stuff. Let me drink some water. That ended up being obviously really bad for me since I'm sober now. Obviously that didn't work very well since now I'm sober and I don't ever want to like use substances again. But I've noticed about myself that like I just speak much more square, if you will. And I'm just okay with that. Like, whatever. I definitely use a lot less slang than I used to. Like, I used to use so much slang and really like pop my shit or whatever. You know what I mean? And like, I just don't really do that as much anymore because that's a part of like my unmasking journey. And I'm just okay with that. When we go through this journey of unmasking, and I do feel that Libra has a lot to do with the mask that we wear, because if we are creating a glamour, if we're creating an illusion of who we are in order to be accepted by others, then yeah, that's masking. People pleasing, putting what other people want from us or even what they don't want from us or for us before what we truly are. That is people pleasing. That is putting, what is the word? Putting, I lost it. Sorry. I saw a message and that like completely took me out of the flow. That is putting a glamour on. Okay, and so the way that I'm talking about Libra right now, it seems like I'm not even talking about any of the good aspects. So I want to come back to the Page of Wands and the Five of Wands in reverse. You are no longer a novice. You know how to handle your energy. You know what you are and are not supposed to do. Okay, if you are feeling anxious, you know that you can regulate your nervous system. And if you don't know, then now you know. I'm telling you that you can regulate your nervous system before you go and you talk to people, especially throughout Mercury retrograde, because this is Mercury retrograde and eclipse season overlapping with one another. You best believe that people are going to be trying to get you off your throne, trying to knock your crown off your head. You got to be like, no, thank you. We're not playing those games. Not today. Okay. But the way that you do it is in a diplomatic way. We're not doing passive aggression. We're not doing, you know, people-pleasing, fawning tactics. We're not doing any of that stuff because that is outside of integrity. That is disingenuous and it is dishonest. What are we doing? We are finding diplomatic, respectful, honorable ways to express our truths to the people around us that we are in relationship with because we love and care about them. And even if we don't love and care about them, then maybe just don't interact with them at all. You know, there's healing that's coming in here with this Virgo and energy. Okay, and we have also Dark Moon Lilith in Virgo in the 6th house, tropically, but it's in Leo in the 7th house. So we're not letting anybody play in our faces. We're not letting anybody take our crown. No, we are fierce and we are independent progenitors of our prosperity, stewards of our prosperity, stewards of our power. If this is us in the 3D realm, the Queen of Pentacles is us in the 3D realm, the Empress is our higher self. We are tapping into our higher selves, not our lower selves, in order to best communicate what it is we need to communicate with the world around us so that we can receive what we are meant to receive, which is these divine counterpart relationships. If a relationship ends because you tell the truth, especially if you do it in a diplomatic, respectful, respectable way, that relationship was never meant to be to begin with. You know what I mean? Or maybe it was meant to be for a while, but it's time for it to end. Essentially. So, you know, when I say we cease fighting anything and everyone, including ourselves, I'm not saying just let people disrespect you and let people play in your face. By no means am I encouraging that. What I am saying instead actually is there's a better way to handle things rather than fighting with others. There are other forms of conflict resolution that do not include being brash, being brutish, causing harm, and engaging in those karmic cycles and patterns that have kept us trapped and that have kept us out of receiving our material abundance that we're looking for. Because as we said, how are we supposed to receive all of our power when we're not equipped to handle it? It's not going to happen, but you have gone through the necessary processes in order to receive it. So I honestly feel like by the end of eclipse season, like, yo, you're not even going to be able to believe. You're not even going to be able to believe your life or what, like, you're going to be looking around like, where the F am I? And even if you are, for some of you, you're actually going to like change places. You're going to be around fully new people. Like it's going to be crazy. But for others of you, so I feel like some of you, it's going to be like a move is coming in, like a physical move to a new place, and a new time. And just like everything's going to be different. But some of you, it's just an energetic change where you're going to be in the same like place, you might be in the same town, you might be around the same like people. No, I think you will be around like different people. There's going to be a whole overturn, a complete overturn. And why I do feel like when we have the Tower in reverse, that means that like, you know, it's going to be a big change, but it's actually going to be everything falling together as opposed to everything falling apart. You understand what I mean? We have the sun in a sextile with Pluto at 1 degree Aquarius, and that is trine the moon, which is obviously opposite the sun. So let's look at those energies. What do they mean? Yeah, this is a complete like shifting of power. This is a complete shifting of power. This is a complete overturn of I'm hearing indoctrination. I'm hearing patriarchy. I'm hearing hegemony. It's a complete overturn of the systems of power that have been abusing power. And the meek, yes, the meek is inheriting the earth, yo. Seven of Wands in reverse. No more drama in my life. Not just a Knight of Wands in reverse. Seriously, if people try to get you caught up in karmic like conversations and karmic conflict, do not give in to it. Knight of Cups in the direct position. Judgment in reverse. Four of Pentacles. Don't hold on too tight to the past. If things want to change, let them. Because they want to change, they want to shift, they want to move because they need to. It's really for the best. It's what's best for you. It's what's right for you. Okay? You need to let go of the past because that is what is keeping you from experiencing the transformation that you need to experience. That is what is keeping judgment and justice from coming in. So those relationships that are harming you, that have kept you low vibrational, I really want you to stop doing that. I'm thinking about not just people. I am getting, for some of you, it's a job. You know for a long time that you were supposed to quit and you didn't. And you're going to be forced to. You didn't because you were afraid, because you couldn't find something else, but you can't find anything else because you still have that low vibrational energy in your life. Detach from all of that. Put in your 2 weeks notice or up and leave, boo. Like get up out of there. The Magician in reverse. Exactly. You're not believing in your power. So you're holding on way too tight to things that are only going to keep you sick, that are only going to keep you disempowered. Seven of Cups, you're afraid of what people are going to say or how people are going to feel about it, but you don't need to be, because what is coming in for you is going to be even more powerful than what it's going to knock people's socks off. Like, it's going to be really crazy. It's going to be hard for people to believe. You need to trust your intuition. You need to follow your heart. Follow your heart, okay? Follow your dreams. It sounds trite, but it's really not, okay? So this Knight of Cups is saying, like, you need to follow your heart because it's leading you to glory. You see it's riding on a unicorn and it's a full moon back there and it's in this rainbow water. I said rainbow children, crystalline children. You see, this is the problem. This dog keeps coming over here because it wants to be near me, and then it like keeps farting and it's so gross. But seismic collective change is happening. And I don't think that it's any surprise that this docu-series Quiet on Set came out when it did, just before eclipse season. The balance of power is turning in the favor of the meek, of those that follow the ordinances of the divine. So trust and believe that those tower moments that happened to you before are not going to happen to you anymore, because you learned your lessons. You did what you had to do. You went through your Job season. You lost everything, and yet you held on. And in fact, it made you more powerful. It made you stronger. It made you wiser. Harder, better, faster, stronger. That don't kill me can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, because I can't get much wronger. I know I got to be right now. That's how long I've been on ya. I'm not going to play that because I want to upload this to YouTube, and I feel like if I play that, then it's going to be hard to upload it to YouTube. But we get 6th ray of devotion here. You are being rewarded for your devotion to the Most High. Hold your center, ground down, 10 toes down, like I said, an invitation to connect. That don't kill me makes me stronger. You are in alignment with your higher self, and this has made you so powerful. So trust that. You hold your center, an invitation to connect. So I really want to, like, I really have wanted to smoke cigarettes. And I don't want to do that because it's not good for me. And like, that is a part of my old life and the old lifestyle that I used to live. And I think that it's really important, actually. Like, I would really encourage you guys to sit down and shut up is what I'm hearing. Yeah, so definitely meditate and allow the Most High to come in and to guide you. We get the Star in reverse. And I feel we get the High Priestess too, and we get the Ace of Swords. This is you when you're not in your power. And what I feel like this is bringing us to is like, you need to just sit down and shut up and get into alignment. You don't need to do anything. You already did everything that you needed to do. And the last card we get is the Eternal Now, and we get the First Ray of Power, exactly. And we get grounding in reverse, exactly. You are coming into this new power, this new level of greatness that you have been desperately seeking, Susan. You have been desperately seeking this energy, okay? I definitely am picking up codependent vibes because I'm picking up someone in my field who was very codependent. And yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of temptation to backslide into old habits, patterns, and behaviors. And I would just really encourage you to not do that. Sit down and think about like the lifestyle that you used to live and like the mask that you were wearing. Why were you wearing that mask? Who were you trying to be? What were you trying to prove? You know what I mean? And what tools were you using to do that? Now you want to flip it on its head. Okay, when you weren't in your power, when you weren't in your spirit, you were not in your essence, you were not in your integrity and in your foundation. Who were you at that time? Who are you trying to be? Who were you trying to be? And I'll use myself as an example. I didn't think that it was cool to love God. I didn't think that it was cool to be spiritual. In fact, I was afraid of being castigated and judged. And, I was afraid of being persecuted, basically, for my spiritual practice. I literally would read spirit books on like the occult and spirituality and all of this stuff. I would read them in secret, because I was afraid that people would think that I was a bad person or that I would get in trouble. You know what I mean? And so I would go and I would hide to read those books. But now I have a whole practice where like I've literally like done readings for celebrities. You know what I mean? Like I've done invocations at some of the most prominent like spaces in New York City. You know what I mean? Like, so it's really about like letting go of fear of who you think that you have to be and not allowing that to control you in order for you to finally step into your power. Because it is the thing. And if you look at this, it's like, this is the dark feminine and this is the light feminine. Dark divine feminine, light divine feminine. Okay, and these two things have been out of balance, because if one is out of balance, obviously the other has to be out of balance, right? I had to stop living my life in the shadows. And I'll give this example. I didn't think that it was cool to be spiritual. I didn't think it was cool, really. Like, I knew that I was like quirky, and I was like the nerdy, quirky friend in my friend group. And like, I often would be like made the side kick, but I knew that that wasn't who I really was. I just felt that it was safer because that's how my relationships as a child were. I had two sisters, and one of them like I spent all my time with, and I was like her little sidekick, you know what I mean? She's 9 years older than me, and I just did everything with her and went everywhere with her. So I didn't have agency and autonomy, and I was very codependent at that time. If you're codependent, you're not living in your true identity. You're not living in your true power. And we're talking about being in our power so that we can finally manifest it in the 3D reality. So I created this persona, I created this vessel to carry me through life so that I could get what I wanted, which was love, which was popularity, which was friends. And yes, also like attention, yes, money, but like, let me tell you something. I definitely put being popular before making money. And that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people are more concerned with being famous than actually like having money and having security and having stability. Being popular does not mean that people love you. A lot of times, actually, people really secretly hate you. And also, they just try to exploit and use you. That is my experience. But I created this character, and this character had a lifestyle. And basically what I would do is, you know, like, I was a cool girl. I was really into high fashion and like models and modeling and like streetwear culture. So like I dated skaters and I dated models and like smoked cigarettes in the Lower East Side and like was a feminist. I really wasn't actually very much of a feminist. I was just groomed to think that like wearing mesh tops with no bra in public meant that and like not shaving under my arms meant that I was like empowering myself, and dating people who were way older than me meant that I was empowering myself, but I really wasn't. I didn't know any better back then. I had to go through a lot to learn what it really meant to empower myself, to really step into my Empress energy. And like I said earlier in the reading, like I wasn't allowed to be the Queen of Pentacles because I was not allowing myself to be the Empress, because my light and my dark were out of whack. I was living in toxic positivity as well as, you know, toxic darkness, living my life in the shadows, not being real, not being true and honest. And that's why a lot of us don't ever get to live in our prosperity. You know what I mean? How can I be sovereign and be prosperous when I hate myself? You know what I mean? And so like the whole lifestyle was drinking a lot, doing a lot of substances all the time, partying 3 to 5 nights of the week, being around people that frankly I did not really like very much because they were not very good people. You know, it was a very morally fraught space. But I was in all the cool parties. Like I was around celebrities. I was being photographed by like literally my favorite photographers who I looked up to so much, you know, and still I was so unhappy and still I was so miserable, and none of my relationships were healthy. All of them were codependent. Most of my best friends had borderline personality disorder diagnosed, or some other personality disorders, and they were deeply, deeply abusive towards me on an emotional level. They trivialized me, and this was true for my romantic partners as well. And it took a really long, arduous road of a lot of shadow work, a lot of looking at myself. No matter how scary, no matter how ugly it was, I still would have to just turn around and look at myself. This is the Libra aspect, because Libra is a mirror. Venus is a mirror. Venus has to do with water. The higher octave of Venus is Neptune, and that is harmony, divine union. But I like to think of Pisces as a filter. It filters out all of the iniquities, all of the sickness, all of the low vibrational densities, the base metals that cannot come up with us when we go from being iron into being gold. We cannot hold on to the maladaptive coping mechanisms. We have to have a new perspective. We have to be willing to have a new experience of life, of ourselves, of our creator, of our higher power, whatever that is to you. We have to be willing to do that. And also we have to be willing to sit and be in solitude with ourselves. We have to be willing to sit and be in solitude with ourselves to reach that enlightenment. And no, I'm not talking about light as in like the illumination. I'm talking about light as in density, no longer dense, no longer heavy, because we've let go of that burden so that we can ascend into our higher timelines. going from Venus, which just magnetizes any and everything and wants to hold on to, wants to hold on to any and everything because it operates from a lack mindset. I don't have enough. If I let go of this thing that obviously doesn't work for me, I obviously don't like it, then I'm not going to have anything else. That mindset has got to go. And because we've done this work, we come into the Wheel of Fortune energy. And it is turning in your favor. And when you get what it is that is coming to you, this prosperity, and do remember that prosperity starts in the spiritual realm. It comes to the mental realm. It processes through the emotional body before it manifests in the 3D. So if you do not believe that the universe and the world and your matrix and you yourself are infinitely prosperous, then if you don't believe that, you're not going to experience it. You could be a billionaire and still believe that, because we see that's how billionaires are. A lot of them. They don't believe in this infinite abundance that they can have and everyone else can have. No, they have to hoard. And it's not just about money. It's about power to them. So see, there is more that matters than just money. When you think about material prosperity, consider that. You really need to have emotional prosperity before you can experience material prosperity. But that's what's on offer this eclipse season. You really have to have energetic prosperity. How are you going to pour from an empty cup? If you want to go and till your garden, cultivate and make sure that your garden is ever flowing, verdant and abundant, how are you going to do that if you don't have any energy? Like, you can't. If you don't have the knowledge, that's the air energy, the mental body. If you don't have the knowledge of how to do that, how are you going to do it? So when I talk about the blessings and abundance coming in, I really want you to look back on the past year and all of your life and consider the blessings and abundance that already is. Because that's going to be what really helps you to come into this new perspective. And I'm hearing the song by Panic at the Disco. Stop there and let me correct it. I want to live my life from a new perspective. You come along because I love your face and I'll admire your expensive taste. Okay? Like, people who are along for the ride, we're not doing that. We're not doing ride-alongs anymore. That's out. People who meet you on the other side of this eclipse season, those are your divine counterparts. Those are the people who are really and truly for you. Okay? Confirmation burp. I do see in this, I want to point out that as we go through this eclipse portal of eclipse season and Mercury retrograde as well, that's a portal, that's a tunnel, and we have that here. Confirmation burp. But this is what we have here. We've been in we felt stuck, right? But we haven't been stuck. In actuality, we've been going through the process of purification so that we can come out into the highest timeline on the other side of this window. If you look at the Wheel of Fortune, it is also a circle. It is also a portal. And it is through this balancing of self that we are coming into the fortune, that divine inheritance that is for us. And it's going to look exactly how it's supposed to look for our essential truth. Like I said, I was living this life where I was so obsessed with being popular and being liked. And all I cared about was getting things, doing things that would make me popular and make people like me and love me, because I didn't experience that when I was a child. And so I was always trying to, fill that hole, that rejection hole, that alienation hole, that abandonment wound. I was always trying to fill that. I was always trying to heal that. Little did I know that the only thing that can fill and heal that is the divine. It's spiritual healing. I needed spiritual medicine. And I needed to show up for myself and become my own best friend, become my own biggest cheerleader. And you know what I realized? I didn't need all those cool clothes to be popular and to be liked and to be seen as beautiful. I didn't need to do any of those things that I was doing. I didn't need to feed into the media's projections of who I needed to be, because people were already attracted to me. People loved me for my energy. And understand that even if you are not conventionally attractive, even if you are not like what society tells you that you have to be, first of all, society has an agenda for wanting you to believe that. Second of all, you are blessed and highly favored. You have an anointing on you. Once you've been blessed by the best, you can't be hurt by the rest. It doesn't matter what anyone else has to say. And they see that anointing. They see that divine sacred light within you. And as long as you're incapable of seeing it, you will always be operating from these maladaptive coping mechanisms, and they will continue to keep you out of your prosperity. And they will continue to keep you from being crowned in your divine glory. And you deserve to be crowned in your divine glory. That's what you were, that's your birthright. That's what you were born to receive. Okay? So I had to become okay. My higher power says, my ancestors say jump, I say how high. Anytime they guided me to do something, I was like, let's go. You feel me? And so, hi, oh my God, hi. I was like, let's go, let's get it. So what ended up happening is I kept getting into really bad trouble because of my drinking. At that point, I was still using substances, but I didn't really care for them as much. But my spirit, my ancestors, my angels, the great gods of my family, the Most High was like, you can't keep doing this because you know what power you want to embody. I had just started my practice, like my private practice and public practice as a healer and a divination, like a reader. I just started doing that year, and they were like, you want to get better, you want more power, you want more gifts. You cannot keep defiling yourself like this with people, places, and things. And yes, substance is number one. So in that time, I quit drinking by the grace of my higher power. And it took 1 year and 4 months before I was ready to give up the earth medicine, as they say. And it was earth medicine because, you know, I was also using other psychedelics other than cannabis, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. It took a year for me to be like, you know what, I don't ever want to do like hard substances again. And then 4 months after that is when I decided to try not using, green substances. And my life changed rapidly when I gave up my vices. And this doesn't have to be substances for you. It could be codependency. It could be narcissistic behaviors. It could be candy. Like, because for me, it really do be candy sometimes. Or as I said, cigarettes. But what I realized over time is like, you know, as soon as I quit drinking, I got a random email inviting me to London for a week to read poetry for a book that I was published in. I read poetry for 30 minutes. And I was in London for a week, all expense paid. I just got an email randomly one day. You know, then I got flown out to Laguna Beach from New York. I live in New York to do a mental health conference because I was a mental health advocate for a very long time. I still am one, obviously. But all of these things started happening to me. Everything that I had been working towards started happening to me. And Spirit was like, it's because you stopped defiling yourself. We can trust you now. And so here's your power. And yeah, that was around this time, 2019. Yeah, this time 2018 or 2019. This time 2019. Yeah. I'm like, what is it? Because I stopped drinking in January, but I think of this as the new year. So it was around this time, 2019. And so I knew that I could never pick that behavior up again. You know what? Yes, gifts of recovery, exactly. As like, here are these things that had been promised to me. They are part of my life. Like, I was to do this in my life. You know what I mean? And so, that all being said, that was part of the lifestyle died at that time. And when that part of the lifestyle died, part of what helped me to quit drinking, because I had been trying to get a handle on it already for like always, honestly, but like 6 to 12 months at that point, is because I started using plant medicine again, which I hadn't used for 4 years. And that helped me to be able to quit doing the thing that was going to put me in a grave first. And when it was time for me to stop doing that other thing, I stopped. But, you know, when I stopped drinking, relatively quickly, I stopped being able to go out. I couldn't go to parties anymore. Like, it was too triggering. I've talked about this in another live, but YouTube's not allowing me to upload that one. So I'm going to talk about this part of my story probably in a different YouTube, in like a story time or something. But I had just too much trauma built up that I was running from by self-medicating, and I couldn't face it. And so when I quit drinking and I was just like using plant medicine, I couldn't go to parties because, one, it made me too sensitive anyway to energies, and two, I was just so triggered. And also, I went to this party here in New York called Gush, and I kept being trigger warning. I'm gonna go like this after the trigger warning's up. I kept being like touched inappropriately by this woman who would like pass by me and like touch my butt. Like, she kept doing it. And it was just like so triggering to me. Trigger warning over, that I could go more into that. I will go more into like my story and other like YouTubes and stuff like that, but it was so triggering to me that I cried when I got home, and I left and I stopped going out for like over a year. And I didn't start going out again. I went to one party that summer, which was another queer party. And I didn't go out again until Pride. And the events that I went to for Pride were all like panels and stuff. It wasn't like parties and stuff like that. But when I did go to parties, I was just like so awkward and like uncomfortable. And I had to learn how to be comfortable in myself. And I had to like learn how to socialize without drinking. You know what I mean? And then my whole life changed, and it really started to look like how I wanted it to. And then when I put down the substances and I put down the plant medicine, you know, my life changed again, even more powerfully. And I was an influencer at that time. Like, this was early 2020. I quit all substances in 10th of May 2020. But leading up to that, like, I started a care network. I worked for a really big mental health nonprofit, but separately, I started a care network. I had my business that I was doing. Like, we were doing numbers. We were getting so many donations in because we were doing mutual aid around C19 and the uprising. Like, I was getting, as like on a post, a minimum of 300 interactions, and we were getting hundreds of dollars of donations to our care network a day. At the time, you know, like, I was on the up and up. My career was really on a very promising trajectory. I was in meetings with HBO. Like, I was living the dream. I really was, my dream. And I didn't think that, like, I knew that I was deeply, deeply depressed though. Like, really depressed. And I knew that I was getting out of control with my plant medicine consumption, but I didn't know what else to do because I felt like antidepressants didn't work for me. Well, they didn't work fully because I was, you know, still using plant medicine, but I just didn't think that there was any way that I could live without like using because I was so miserable and sick and unhappy, and I didn't want to lose my security blanket. Thankfully, I was able to go through this process of healing with a community that was able to help me and support me through the healing that I needed to do. I didn't do it alone. But like I said, like I realized that like it wasn't just, for me, it wasn't just the drinking. It was a full entire lifestyle. It was being on the scene, the types of parties, the types of clubs, like where I go to eat even, where I go to hang out. Like you go to what the kids are now calling Dime Square, East Broadway, F-Stop in the Lower East Side. Like, oh, I don't have anything to do today. Let me go hang out. I want to see and be seen. Seeing and being seen was such a big part of this lifestyle that we were all living. And if you're going to see and be seen, you have to like serve a look. You know what I mean? And like, of course, like I have to have cigarettes because that's my other security blanket, right? And like, you have to be able to speak this slang. You have to be able, like, you got to be serving a look. Like, you need to be seen in these places with these kinds of people. These are the kinds of friends that you want to be seen with. Are you down? Like, are you down to put up with the kinds of treatment that these people give you? To the fact that most of them are not very good friends. Everybody's very sick and self-medicating, but nobody's doing anything to actually like save themselves and get to the level that I wanted to get to. So when I say that, like, the fact that I'm craving cigarettes, like, that's the temptation because it's tempting me back to that lifestyle. I know that I can't do certain parts of the lifestyle, but there are other parts of the lifestyle that I'm like, oh, that's more innocuous. I can do that. No, I can't actually. So what I'm saying is, look back on the person that you were when you had that mask that you created. Who is that person? That person for me was 10 pounds underweight. I'm 5'10". I was only really happy with my body when I was 140 pounds. I should be at least 150 pounds. Especially because I'm a curvy person. I'm first generation Liberian American. I'm African. I got a big ass. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm tall. I'm a big person. I need sustenance. I was only really happy when I was 10 pounds underweight. Like, I needed the validation of other people that I didn't even like. I didn't even respect. You know what I mean? Like, I needed to be around these people that I knew were not nice people and didn't have the same values as me. They didn't have the same beliefs. They were not into spirituality. They were not into mysticism. They weren't, starseed, no. Like, we're not talking about those things in those groups of people. They want to gossip, which is a no-no for me. That is not allowed around me. I do 100% no. And they want to talk about reality TV. They want to talk about the next party that we're going to go to. And they want to do, party favors. And I didn't want to do those things anymore. And I couldn't do those things anymore. So who am I today? Who am I actually, when I'm in my power? What does that look like? Because I have to do the things that reflect that in order to be that. If I am the Queen of Pentacles, where's she at? If I am the Queen of Pentacles, and this is my higher self, the Empress, I better be walking in my Empress energy. Everything I do needs to be in my Empress energy. If I'm going to be really verdant and lush and prosperous, if I'm really like wealthy in the spiritual realm and trying to bring that wealth into the material, the brakes are off, my friends. We were not able to manifest in the way that we know that we're capable of, but that's because of this energetic shift. Like, your powers, your abundance were of a frequency that was not capable of manifesting on this planet yet. And as we go through this eclipse window, we are now able to manifest that on this planet. It's not because you couldn't do it. You had adversarial energies up against you. Shaitan, man of powers and principalities working against you. If you truly believe that you are a starseed, a light worker, but you don't believe that there are powers and principalities working against you and your collective in the ethers, then there's some cognitive dissonance going on here. That's what the karmic cycle is. You keep on engaging with the same energy in different bodies. That's what I'm talking about, powers and principalities. Do not, absolutely do not relapse into these karmic behaviors. For me, chasing that validation from beautiful, shiny people who have no substance, which is also like me and eating sugar. Me and smoking cigarettes instead of like smoking a cigarette when I want to, because I feel like antsy. I can sit down and meditate and look inside and be like, what is really going on with me right now? Why do I feel like I need to escape my body right now? What am I running from? What am I afraid of right now? Because if I decide to like relapse on that old lifestyle, and remember, divine counterpart, 10th house, like that, people say the 10th house is about career. Let's decolonize right now. It's actually your lifestyle overall. Your career does not need to be your lifestyle. It's a part of your lifestyle. But honestly, for me, my spiritual life supersedes everything. So that's number one. But it's your divine counterpart as well. If I step back into the murky shadows of the maladaptive dark feminine, I cannot be in my Empress energy and I cannot manifest all of this prosperity that is inside of me, ready to be birthed. The world is ready for us now, family. Do not be afraid of it. Do not be afraid of yourself. They've taught us how to fear ourselves. But fuck them. I say this all the time. It doesn't make sense to prioritize the opinion of people you don't even respect. You don't even like these people and you're prioritizing their opinion. That doesn't make any sense. You feel me? So we're done with that. The eternal now, an invitation to connect. As I said, when you feel that discomfort, that's like, for me, it's like, I would feel, well, I did not realize like in my first few years of not drinking that like I would get this vibe inside of myself when I had like a really hard day, like at the studio when I was in art school. I remember this one particular day where I had a really hard day and everyone just pissed me off. I think something with my family had happened maybe. I had a really racist experience at art school as well, so it was very painful for me. And I was like, I got this feeling in my body and I had a flashback of what that feeling was. And it's like, I want to go out. I want to go out. And it's like, okay, let's investigate this deeper. Where do I want to go? I want to go to Beverly's in the Lower East Side on Essex. At East Broadway, that same place where I said you go to see and be seen. I'm not going out to like Union Square. I'm not going for a walk. I'm not going to a comedy show. No, I want to go and I want to be in this scene because that's going to validate me. And when I thought deeper about it, so what would I do there? I don't drink. Oh, I want to go out. I want to go to a bar where I know I'm going to see people that I think are cool and I'm going to want them to give me the validation to make me think that I'm cool. So because I need someone else to tell me that for me to believe it. And then like, you know, I have a plan. I'm going to go out and like smoke a cigarette and like, that's how I'm going to introduce myself to people. All of this nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, but me as a sober person, why am I getting up and walking down from my studio to a pretty long walk? It'd be like a 45-minute walk, 30 to 45-minute walk to go to a bar as a sober person. Like, because in reality, what I wanted to do is I wanted to drink. And when I investigate that feeling deeper, I wanted oblivion. I didn't want to exist. I didn't want to feel my feelings. So this is why it's really important to investigate what that feeling is. Like when I feel like, you know what, I want to eat a bag of candy. I want to smoke a cigarette. Like, because why did I even start smoking cigarettes to begin with? Because I wanted to be this Tumblr girly Sofia Coppola. I'm a character in a Sofia Coppola movie. Not likely because I'm black. But, you know, that's what I wanted to be. I'm going to read the bell jar on the balcony and, like, you know, this idea of who I wanted to be, this scene that I wanted to exist in my life. But I know that that does not coincide with me being in my Empress energy and me manifesting my prosperity, my divine union, my highest timeline, my most resonant divine experience. I know that it doesn't make that. So I have to investigate and I have to do the shadow work to consider why. And what is the flip side of that? Who do I want to be? To really be in my best life, not what anyone else wants me to be. Because like I said, as I said, people are going to be trying it. For the next month, people are going to try it. There's never going to be a time in your life when people don't try it. That's what people do. And in fact, we all try it at some point. We all try it at some point. This is all the Swan's energy. People are at war with themselves, and so they want to bring that to you. You don't have to engage in that. Because guess what? Even if you're right, there was this time that like I was arguing with one of my sisters because she was wrong. She was wrong. I'm not going to get into what she did, but she was wrong. And so I maneuvered that I would corner her on the stairs. And I basically, she told my mom one thing and she told me a different thing. And so my mom told me what she told her, and I was like, that's not what she told me. And she's like, well, it's what she told me. And so I cornered her on the stairs at the top of the staircase, and my mom was downstairs, and I'm standing on the staircase, so she's not going anywhere. And I was like, tell her what you told me. And like, she's like, did you not say this? And she was like, oh. And I was like, did you tell her that? Because this is what you told me. And she's like, she's caught. She can't do anything, right? And but the thing is, like, I looked insane. Yes, I was right. And yes, she was wrong for what she had done. But I looked like I was insane because I was being insane. I was being very dysfunctional. I was being very sick. That's not something, and I don't mean insane in the pejorative sense. Otherwise, I would have said crazy. I mean insane in that, like, I literally was not sane at that time. I was very, very caught up in sick cycles of, as I said, dysfunction. You know what I mean? And so when I had that realization that, like, really what they tell you is true. Like, if you're arguing with someone who is not well, if you're arguing with a dysfunctional party, from the outside, it just looks like two dysfunctional, unwell, unstable, unhinged people. Because that's what it is. Because a well person, an emotionally mature person, somebody who is centering stability and integrity and sovereignty in their life you're not going to sit here and argue with people like that, right? And so this is this Libra full moon energy, and this is this temperance, patience. Be patient with these people because they're sick. And exercise diplomacy. If you are going to do conflict resolution, exercise diplomacy. But don't go to battle, because you see all of these are very much battle ready. It's Aries season, tropically. They're battle ready. But it's all in reverse. The war's over if you want it to be. It's peacetime if you want it to be. It might feel like you are self-abandoning if you are like capitulating. No, you win. You've won because you're triumphant. You're victorious. I'm not gonna, like, you have to get me off my throne to engage with me. That's all that you can do, is try to get me off my throne so that you can sit there I'm not getting off my throne. Talk all the mess that you want to talk. Pop all the shit you want to pop. I don't care. Because I have self-respect and dignity, and I don't prioritize or center the opinions of people I don't respect. You feel me? So I got grounding in reverse. I really feel like we are in a whirlwind energy. So you're going to want to make sure that you're staying grounded. I'm not saying being negative. I'm saying staying grounded in reality, because times like this with full moons, with confirmation birth, with eclipses, you know, with Mercury retrograde, there's a lot of air energy, and it is really easy to get caught up in psyops. It's really easy to get caught up in mental manipulation. So stay in your integrity. If something seems suspicious, honor that, but also know that you don't need anyone else's validation. You know what I mean? Tune into grounding forces. Be careful of the media that you're consuming, the kinds of conversations that you're having. Okay, be really, really mindful of what you're ingesting at this time. I have a bag of candy. I am going to eat it, but after that, I'm not buying any more candy. I hope, I pray. You know, first ray of power, like I said, it's coming in, okay? Because you waited, because you worked, because you wept, because you wept. And I'm looking at the screen, and Shakira's here with these diamond tears. Like, pressure makes diamonds. I'm thinking about like diamond rings. I just like joined Book Talk, and I read this like romance book that's like really popular on there, and I like thought about that, and I was just like, oh my god, because I'm in love with the character. It's Kings of Sin, King of Wrath, and I was just like, But I do feel like a lot of us, like, we are coming into divine counterpart union. And like I said, that's the lifestyle. So yes, the person, yes, the people, the places, the things, but it all starts with your idea systems and being willing to have a new perspective in order to have a new experience. And you can now, like I said, because this energy is coming in now, we also know that there have been, we're in the sun's active period. So there are really powerful light codes coming in with this eclipse season that we're experiencing. There have been like rare comets that like went through the sky lately. Like, what is going on in the cosmos right now is insane if you are not aware. It's not just like, oh, like this is happening in astrology. No, like literally never before seen on Earth things are happening in the cosmos and on planet Earth and in the ocean. So please understand that this is not like just because, oh, I live in a city, in a town, in a government, and like this is what they tell me it goes on, and this is how it's always been. I don't care, because it was a time when fiefdoms and feudalism was how it had always been. There was a time when 𝗪𝗪𝗀 was how it had always been for people. There was a time where, you know, you guys get my point. There was a time where all this kind of stuff was how it had always been. Do believe that miracles are happening. Miracles of faith are happening. And I want you to have faith in that something good can work. And if nothing else changes but you, that changes everything. Okay, I do feel that there's going to be family stuff coming up in the next week, so do get ready for that. It's going to have to do with intergenerational trauma, behavior patterns being broken by you. So this is going to cause the end of a lot of relationships. Like I said, like everything changed because I wasn't willing to live that lifestyle, and a lot of friendships ended because I wasn't willing to lie and people please and play along with manipulations and not speak my truth. Like, I lost big friend groups that really broke my heart. And, you know, I couldn't stay on that scene anymore. Finally, my life looked exactly how I wanted it to, in a sense that, like, I believed that I was going to be able to get to where I was going, because where I wanted to go, because I felt like I was on that path. I didn't finish saying what I was saying. When I like got fully sober and I dedicated my public image, I guess you could say, to spirituality, and I started talking about Christ consciousness and I started talking about God, I got shadow banned. I went from getting, 300 likes, 30 comments on a post on Instagram 2020, and us getting hundreds of dollars of donations a day to like barely getting 12. And that happened in a week. Like, that happened in literally a week. And I never ever was able, I never ever was not shadow banned. I had to start a new Instagram, and I'm still pretty much permanently shadow banned. And I do believe that there's something spiritual to that. I do believe that I was being protected and I was being hidden. I know that to be true for me, so that also may be true for some of you in whatever context it applies to your life. But there's something to be said for the fact that, my entire life ended. I went through a massive ego death where everything was taken from me, absolute decimation, not desecration, because I was already not living a sacred life to begin with. But I had to go through a season of humbling for years. It's been 4 years. But I had to go through a season of humbling and being tested. I had to go through what people refer to as a Job season in order to prove that I was really able of holding this power. And it's not because I was being punished. It's because the power I had to be tested. Can I maintain this power? It's not because there was some God judging me up in the clouds. No, if you don't have hands, you're not going to be able to hold things. Period. Hi, Allie. But period, you're not going to be able to hold things. So if you don't have eyes, you're not going to be able to see things. If I can only hold this much, how am I supposed to receive this much? All of the quote unquote tests were carrying me from being able to hold this much incrementally over the course of time, so then I could hold this much. Where before I could only hold, let's say Princess of Pentacles power, Knave of Pentacle power. Now I can hold Empress power beyond Queen of Cups. And now I get to be the Queen of Cups. I got to show up for those transformations. I got to show up for that transmutation. And once again, that's proof that my higher power is unconditionally loving. Okay, so final messages, Spirit. Is there anything else that you want to share? Honoring your boundaries because you are sacred. Moving by faith and not by sight, because this truly is Ace of Cups energy. This is the Aquarius energy, the water bearer energy, pouring down. I'm hearing this praise and worship song. It's a Liberian song. I don't think that there's an American version of it. But basically, they're it's raining all around me. I can see it's a lot of rain. And basically it's talking about receiving your blessings, your wealth, your prosperity, your unconditional love, because that all relates to water. Ooh, thank you so much. If you would like a reading, feel free to pose your question in the comments. Because I'd love to read for you. But yeah, so I just see that's what's coming in for us right now. And we have been made into proper vessels to contain and maintain that energy. So it's really worth actually looking back on all of the experiences that we've had and realizing what we can be grateful for. And not just focusing on the material, but also the emotional. Also thinking about the mental, the spiritual. I am much more mentally stable than ever in my life. And the material can be chaotic and I'm still okay in my life. You know what I mean? And that is invaluable to me. There's no money price tag that can be on that, right? Six of Wands. Like, what's coming in for us is going to shut up all the haters. All of the haters who said that you wouldn't make it, who said that you wouldn't get it, no matter what it is. Maybe it is having a lot of money. Maybe all you wanted in life was to become a principal, which isn't easy at a middle school. You know what I mean? And you had people working against you. Maybe all that you wanted was to get married and like be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe all that you wanted was to graduate with your associate's degree and bake cakes. You know, maybe all that you wanted was to, yeah, I don't know, whatever it is, all that you wanted is coming to you, or at least it is, finally it is on offer, and you have been prepared to receive it. Now you just have to walk in that light and walk in that truth with Mars at 1 degree of Pisces in the 12th house. I know it's scary. I know it's scary, but you got to go ahead and do it, babes, because in sidereal astrology, that's in Aquarius. You have to do things differently to get different results. Okay? What message do my guides, angels, have for me about my business? Okay. We're going to find out. What message do Allie's guides and angels have for her about her business? Most High Divine Creator, give us the messages that are most clear and concise, that we may be able to communicate them effectively. You're in graphic design and tech, correct? Some of these cards are upside down. I'm hearing sleeping giant. Correct, okay. Knight of Cups was upside down. I'm gonna put it back in, but I do feel like it wanted to be seen. I feel like we're gonna get 3 cards. Give us 3 cards, but I do feel like you have to trust yourself more. I think that you're afraid. Okay, this one wants to come out. I feel like you're afraid of your success, and you're afraid of your power, and you're afraid of your creative ability, because you know that it's going to irrevocably change your life in ways that, like, you're still kind of afraid of letting go of certain things. But when you let go, you're going to come into something so much more aligned with who you are. So you shouldn't be afraid to let go. Keepers of the earth, you are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. Wondering if I should branch out and do more creative things. Yeah, you should. Definitely. Definitely. That's what it is. Okay, you are afraid to, like, do fine art because it's, like, quote unquote impractical. It's actually really not. Like, there are a lot of ways to commercially monetize being a fine artist. You don't have to only do, like, only be in the institution. And, like, being an academic artist, having gone through the institution, like, after I graduated, I for a while was just like, I'm not, like, fuck this. This is a terrible, evil institution. Like, I'm not willing to, like, sell my soul and my happiness to be in this, like, world. And I don't mean literally, but, like, in terms of, like, not making art that made me happy. And you don't have to live like that. You know what I mean? There are plenty of artists on Instagram that I've seen that, like, they might not be who the art world is, like, respecting the most, but that doesn't matter because they're living their best life. Like, one artist, I don't remember what her name is because I barely go on Instagram anymore, but one artist, I love her paintings. You'll see, like, a lot of millennial artists use the candy colors because that's what we saw a lot of, those colors when we were growing up. It's like Barbie colors. But and that's a big part of why the Barbie movie was made. So just think about that. Like, these artists who might not be selling work at Art Basel have enough power and impact on society because they have thousands and thousands of followers. She teaches art classes, she sells paintings, she does commissions, and she has time to be a mom. You know what I mean? She's living her best life. She's living her dream. And her art actually does have meaning. It's not just about painting like things that are trendy and cool. She made these trends, her and Wes Benson. But I can't remember, Not Sorry Art, I think is her name. But, you know, she's doing all of that and she doesn't have to be in the institution. I guarantee you that she's making way more money than the people who are in the institution and being like, I'm a professor at a university. Professors at universities don't make any money, but that's what a lot of like people who take the academic artist track because they want to be respected by the institution end up doing. I want that type of fulfillment in my heart of hearts. You can have it. You really, really can. Like you really, really can. But you have to believe in yourself. And even if you fall down, like you get up, you are protected. You have your spirit team on your side. Like, I'm hearing a hazing ritual, but like not in a bad way. Like, I do feel like art school was a hazing ritual and it was literally torturous. The first 3 years that I did were fine, but the final 4th year when I got into that special program was just absolutely horrible. And that was more like what an MFA would be. And so I decided not to do an MFA and I decided to pursue my joy, because when I would sit down at the canvas, I would get so stressed out thinking about like what the institution is going to say, what people are going to say in critique. Like, I have to make this the most esoteric like art ever. And it's like, no, I don't. My job is to express what was put in my heart. If in your heart of hearts, that's what you want to achieve, then you have to express it. And it's not going to be, I do feel like you might get a lot of success early on, but then if things take a divot or things take a pivot, you might be tempted to be like, oh, see, I knew I couldn't do it. No, that's life for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes people make a really great album and then they make an album that everyone's like, oh, it's a flop. And then they make an album that everyone's like, oh, they're back. You know what I mean? That finality and that absolutism is so much really defeats a lot of creatives and a lot of people from pursuing their dreams because they think that they can never. I'm gonna pause really quickly. I need to get my charger. You just stay there. Give me a second. Stay there. Give me a second. Hazing ritual. I feel like the tax board deadlines and business admin stuff always hazes me. Yeah, that's like such a part of being an entrepreneur and like a business owner. And for me as well, I just like have to pay a lot in taxes. And I just like worked with with an accountant for the first time to do my taxes. But you know something? It's worth it. It's worth it to not have to be an employee to a narcissist or to be. You're not living when you're doing a job just to survive. You're dying, actually. Like that's killing yourself. We get the Page of Wands. Don't be afraid to be a novice. Don't be afraid to learn as you go. If anybody sits out here and is like, I'm an expert on this thing, I don't need to learn anything more. You're not an expert on shit. You're not gonna be an expert. Nobody needs to hear what you have to say, because if you think that you don't have more room to learn, first of all, you don't even love what it is you're studying, what it is you're doing. Like, if you're not interested in learning more. The best scientists admit that we don't know shit about shit. The best scientists will be the first ones to say that we really know very little, because it's exciting for us to learn more. They love that. So be unafraid to pursue life with an energy of confirmation burp. I swallowed so hard. Be unafraid to pursue things with an energy of experimentation and excitement. Could you please tell me the card you pulled for me again? I have still one more. Keepers of the Earth from the Rebecca Campbell Work Your Light Oracle deck, and Page of Wands. The thing that changed everything for me, I would sit at the canvas and I would be like, no, for a year after I graduated, all of last year. And I was listening to Rick Rubin talk to 𝗕 Shetty on his podcast, and he talked about how art making is an act of devotion to the divine and the divine within ourselves. So if it is an act of devotion to the divine within ourselves, it's not done when someone else says it's done. It's done when we feel it's done in our heart of hearts. And why am I worried about, oh, what's the budget? That's not the most important thing that you're considering when you are making an act of devotion to the Most High, Divine Creator, whoever your higher power is, whatever divinity lives within you. You know what I mean? So that's something that you're going to really want to bear in mind as you go down this journey. It doesn't really matter what people think. Are you happy? Do you like what you created? Are you proud of it? Could you look at it and be like, yeah, I fuck with this? Would I hang it in my house? That's a question that I have to ask myself. When I make music that, like, I want to make my favorite songs ever, because there are not enough of the songs that I want to hear. There were not enough Halloween songs in the world. So what did I do? I made a Halloween EP called Young Wavy Wednesday, because I wanted more of that in the world. So I did it. It doesn't matter if I get like a record deal or something like that. It really does not matter. Okay, the star in reverse. Yes, that act of devotion really resonates with me. Yeah, because like that's the flow of divine, cosmic, universal abundance. You know what I mean? That's where it flows from. It doesn't flow from outside of you. As within, so without. As above, so below. But it starts within you. So if you're like crushing it up, you're clenching. Just imagine trying to birth a baby and then you start clenching the birth canal. You're going to hurt yourself, and you're also going to hurt the baby. And also, it's not even possible, really. Like, it's just going to, like, it's going to happen. It's a natural thing that's going to happen whether you like it or not. So you may as well not even try, clenching. Just open up and let the birth happen, because otherwise it's just going to be so much more chaotic and painful for you, because it's going to be like, you know what I mean? What do I want more of on this earth? Yeah, that's what we have to create. That's what we have to do. Like, it doesn't matter if so-and-so's already doing it either. Like I said, there's a lot of artists who use the color palette that I use. Like, my signature colors are candy colors. And they've been my signature colors since before I ever found out about these artists, Not Sorry Art and Wes Benson. Because I'm a millennial and like Jen's millennial. So I grew up seeing those colors everywhere when I was a kid. So those are my colors, like the pink, the teal or turquoise, like goldenrod yellow. I mean, these are Crayola crayon color names. These have been my colors my whole life. But just because Not Sorry Art is using that color palette, just because Wes Benson's using that color palette, doesn't mean, and a whole bunch of other artists, they do still lifes. Wes Benson makes like paintings of LaCroix cans, and he's inspired by artists, other artists. I can't think of the guy's name right now, but he's a very famous like West Coast like landscape artist. But Not Sorry Art paints disco balls. You know what I mean? And like she does still lives as well of like cheap things that it speaks to our cultural sensibilities, and it also speaks to capitalism. You know what I mean? Like it's actually very sophisticated and thoughtful and smart, but because she's famous on Instagram, people may not respect her as much as somebody who, you know, I don't know, like has no Instagram and is just on ArtNet and is like, you know, represented by this gallery and that gallery. She's probably making more money than those people and is way happier. And she touches the lives of a lot of people. Way more lives probably than that person. Like, no shade, and I'm talking shit on my own, like, institution, okay? Like, that's just the reality of it. You know what I mean? So you, Allie, you are a light worker, and that's why the light worker oracle deck wanted to come out. You're meant to be in the public eye. It doesn't matter if it's one person or a million people. You make things that people are meant to see and be transformed by. And when they see it and are transformed by it, your energy is already coded into that thing so that they can be transformed, and you're not even there. Which is why, like, so I make songs that break curses. You know what I mean? And all of that's my thing. And this is why, like, my spirit team never allowed me to like put out music or to perform live before I changed my lifestyle, because I would rap about like smoking weed and sleeping with people's dads. Like, that's what I would rap about, and that's not helpful. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I'm supposed to be putting out into the world. Now I make music about that's empowering to like, that's not, the world doesn't need more of that. The message that I'm supposed to be putting out is supposed to be helping people to get free and to transcend. You know what I mean? So everything happens in its right time, but really all of these cards are telling me that you just need to really believe in yourself. Like, you need to believe that you are protected. You need to believe that you are supported. Like, if you haven't had as much success as you want, it's because you haven't actually given your full self over to this. You haven't believed enough to invest enough into it. And you have to. No matter if it's like, oh yeah, cringeworthy. What the fuck? Like, who gives a shit? What is cringeworthy even? Like, please explain that to me. You know what I mean? Like, people who are like, oh my God, I can't believe that you're like posting on Instagram. Like, why can't you believe it? What's not to believe? Well, I just mean like, it's kind of like embarrassing. Like, you think you're an influencer. Okay, so like, where am I supposed to start if not at the beginning? You know, like, gotta start somewhere, right? Logically, right? I mean, I guess so. You know what I mean? Like earlier in the collective reading, I pulled Six of Wands out of, it was this one, this Six of Wands. What's coming in for us is going to shut up all the haters. Because what's coming in for them is going to shut them up. They're going to be too busy dealing with the destruction in their lives that they caused to be able to talk shit about us. But also, they're still going to talk shit and they're going to continue racking up more bad karma. So just let them rack up the bad karma. Let them hate themselves. Let them live a miserable ass life. It's not hurting me because I don't respect you. So I don't care what you have to say. Also, you're blocked. Oh, it got age restricted probably because I talked about the green stuff. But I don't care because you're blocked. You know what I mean? I don't care because nobody that I know respects you. Nobody I respect respects you. Nobody that I know and respect engages with you. So why do I care if you're talking trash about me to a bunch of people that I don't respect? Frustrating. But that's essentially what Spirit is saying. We also have the initiation comes out here in the crumbling. What are you clinging on to? Rite of passage, crossing the threshold. Like, don't worry about, I'm hearing, what is this song called? It's not RoboCop. Hold on a second. I'm gonna play it for just a second. I want to upload this to Paranoid by Kanye West. I want to upload this to YouTube, so I don't want to play anything that like might get it pulled off of YouTube. But let me look up the lyrics. Kanye West lyrics. He says, I'm gonna go to the specific part where he says it. Yeah, you heard about all the word of mouth. Don't worry about what we can't control. All the talk in the world, lost in the world, till you finally let that shit go. You want to check into the Heartbreak Hotel, but sorry, we're closed. Like, yes, exactly. Exactly. Don't worry about any of that stuff. And I will say this. I remember that people did not like that album when it came out because he was singing. And they didn't want that from him. They didn't like the way that he dressed. They talked mad trash about him. But, you know, regardless of what where he is right now and what he is right now, he was, before he went off the rails, he was a billionaire and is still the most famous rock star of our generation. And people did not, I mean, look how hard it was for him to get signed. Nobody wanted to hear him rap. They just wanted him to make beats. And he would not let it go. He used his own money to put out, not All Falls Down, Through the Wire. He used his own money to put it out because the label was sleeping on him. And now look. He's ran circles around his mentor, Jay-Z. Ran circles around him financially, career-wise. You know what I mean? But because he wore polos and talked about like serious issues, they didn't want that in rap at the time. So, you know, you might just be ahead of your time and you might just be ahead of your curve, but don't let those past experiences of people, like, it's time to let that shit go. Don't let people and their stupid opinions keep you from believing in yourself. Because you win in the end. Look, they're scared and they're just projecting that on you because misery loves company. But at the end of the day, they're going to stay where they are. And you should not stay there with them by any stretch of the imagination. Okay? With the sun, it's like it wants to come out up or down or up or down. It's up to you. Are you going to be the sun or are you going to be... this is the crumbling. You can take a screenshot if you want. I would encourage it, actually. What are you clinging on to? Rite of passage, crossing the threshold, the initiation. You're not being hazed. This is just part of what happens. Like, that's part of the growing process and the growing pains, and it's okay. You are a winner. You are the bomb.com. You are supported in everything that you do. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and to be seen. Okay? That is all that I have for you. I hope that it was helpful. And thank you for the hand heart. Yay! Hopefully, you know, as we continue doing these lives, more and more people will join them and there will be more hand hearts. But I'm going to save this collective reading. Allie, I will cut your reading out of the end of it before I upload it onto YouTube because that's for you. And actually, I can send you that part of the reading as well because I have your number. But yeah. I love you all truly and deeply. I hope that this reading was helpful. I have to go write some insights for a professional endeavor. But I will see you all soon. Thank you so much, Vie. I really needed to hear your channeled message. always, I'm here for it. I love doing this work, and we'll talk soon. Okay, bye.